Hi there, and thanks for checking out this video. I'm John from TennisCompanion, and today we're doing an in-depth review and playtest of the Babolat Pure Aero 2019. Before we get started, I did want to let you know that this is not a sponsored video. I haven't been paid by Babolat or anyone else to discuss this racket. Also, as a quick side note, we're diving deep in this video, so I've included timestamps in the video's description so you can quickly jump around. With that said, let's get started with the Babolat Pure Aero specs, so you know exactly what you're getting with this racket. Endorsed by Rafel Nadal, the Babolat Pure Aero is a hugely popular tennis racket which originally debuted in 2004. Today, we're reviewing the latest version or the 7th generation of this racket, which released in early 2019. But keep in mind, Rafa still uses the original version with a custom paint job. The racket comes in your standard length of 27 inches and features a middle-of-the-road 100 square inch head size with a 16x19 string pattern. Babolat quotes the racket weighs in at 10.6 ounces or 300 grams unstrung, which is 2 grams lighter than its predecessor. But as you can see, there's often slight variation in what's delivered, as this brand new frame I have on hand sits at 10.8 ounces or 306 grams. For its strung weight, you can add 18 or so grams depending on the string. As for the balance, the racket is 7 points head light at 32 centimeters unstrung. With strings installed, that reduces to 4 points head light at 33 centimeters. As far as stiffness goes, it has an RA rating of 67, which is 2 points lower than the previous generation to add a bit more comfort, while also delivering a swing weight of 324, which is slightly lower than the 327 of the previous generation. If all of these specs make your head spin, don't worry, I totally get it, but I'd encourage you to check out my guides on these topics, which I've linked in the video's description. A handful of unique technologies are integrated into the Pure Aero's frame, so let's touch on those as well as the intention behind each feature. But before we do, I want to preface this section with the caveat that not all racket technologies deliver on their promises. So I'd encourage you to learn about them, but to ultimately demo or try a racket before you make a purchase if possible. That way you can gain a feel for the racket and develop your own opinion on their performance. First up, the racket's Aeromodular frame design is what makes this line unique, and one of the first things you notice when you pick up the racket. From the throat to the tip of the racket's head, you quickly get a sense for the aerodynamic considerations of the design, all the way down to the sleek profile of the grommets and bumper guard, which combine to help the racket move through the air and swing fast for generating maximum spin. On that note, the bumper guard's design is a nice improvement over the previous generation, which had a tendency to wear quickly and expose the strings. If you're coming from a different racket, perhaps the most unique part of the frame's design is the throat, which is bulkier than most and has a unique feel in the hand. I wouldn't say it's good or bad, just different. Next up, the racket features carbon ply stabilizing technology in the throat to help prevent twisting and subsequently improve control. At the 3 and 9 o'clock positions of the racket's head, you'll also find Babolat's Cortex Pure Feel technology integrated into the graphite to help dampen vibration and improve feel, which was previously located in the shaft just above the handle. Last but not least, the Pure Aero features Babolat's FSI Spin technology, which combines an open string pattern with oblong-shaped grommets at the 6 and 12 o'clock positions of the head for enhancing string movement and maximizing spin. Now that you know exactly what to expect from the Babolat Pure Aero specs and technologies, let's jump into my playtest and review. For my playtest, I strung the racket with 16 gauge or 1.3mm Babolat RPM blast at 52 pounds. On that note, the Pure Aero strings up easily, and I like how Babolat has removed the long and short side string installation with this generation. For reference, here are a few other playtest notes that you might find useful when considering my thoughts and opinions on the racket. Without a doubt, my favorite part of the playtest and where the Pure Aero comes to life is with Groundstrokes. I love the racket's crisp feel, generous sweet spot, and the satisfying pop you hear when striking the ball. Power comes relatively easily, but it's not overbearing and aligns well with the topspin-centric features of the frame, allowing me to swing fast with confidence that the ball will drop back into the court. Up at net, I found the Babolat Pure Aero to handle well with solid maneuverability, but at the same time I consider volleys to be where the racket offers its weakest performance. If you're connecting with a volley above the height of the net, the racket can help deliver a firm and convincing put-away. However, the Pure Aero demands extra soft hands and gentle touch to prevent the ball from getting away from you, while reining in the racket's power. Although from the back of the court I thought the racket's weight was sufficient, there were times when I prefer a bit extra weight in the upper hoop of the racket's head for volleys, to help absorb pace and improve stability. So that's an area of customization you might want to experiment with to dial things in a bit. To be clear, it's not a poor performer up at net, but it's also not the best, and as far as different shots go, not where the racket shines. For serving, I thought the Pure Aero was excellent and where the power of the racket is on full display. On flat serves, the racket has no problem delivering exceptional pace without trying too hard. Also, despite the Pure Aero's spin-friendly setup, it's easy enough to keep the ball flat for a penetrating serve. Slice serves benefit from the added spin potential of the racket, but where I saw the most pronounced difference is on the kick serve. I could sense the grip of the strings on the ball, which helped with a high clearance over the net and a prominent leap as the ball strikes the ground. Although I enjoy the Pure Aero on serve, your arm will tend to pay for it if you miss the sweet spot. I noticed this on a few flat serves, and the resulting shock and vibration are immediately apparent. Last but not least, when it comes to returns, the Babolat Pure Aero performs well. Everything I love about the racket when hitting ground strokes translates to returns, and it has plenty of maneuverability to get the racket back quickly. Plus, the additional margin for error on my returns from the racket's added spin is a nice bonus, especially when stepping in on a slower second serve for a more commanding start to the point. There's no doubt the Babolat Pure Aero performs best with a lower power, spin-friendly polyester like RPM Blast, which is the type of string I'd recommend for use with this racket. If you like what the racket has to offer but you're looking for a slightly more gentle string setup, then a polyester and multi-filament hybrid will work well too. As far as strings go, expect the Babolat Pure Aero to need frequent restringing, as the racket's design characteristics that enable more significant string movement lead to increased sawing of the strings and subsequently more string breaks. The notches shown here are from only 2 hours of hitting, and I found I broke strings at a higher rate than many other rackets. Overall, the Babolat Pure Aero is an excellent frame that delivers controllable power and helps players maximize their spin. Although its specs make the racket approachable for a wide range of players and skill levels, the racket will work particularly well for players that prefer to hang out on the baseline and trade ground strokes, but still demand reliable performance from other areas of the court. If you don't rely on heavy topspin or you're an all-court player that spends as much time up at net as you do at the baseline, you may want to look elsewhere. Last but not least, if you suffer from ongoing arm discomfort or you've experienced tennis elbow in the past and that's a concern, then you'll likely want to avoid this racket. Despite improvements in comfort with this generation, it can still be hard on your arm. If you'd like to learn more about the Babolat Pure Aero, be sure to check out my write-up, which I've linked in the video's description. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. And if you'd like to join me for future videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.